Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Yeah. Are we on? No, I better turn on my mic. Actually, it is on. Hey, everybody. How you doing? I was just reading my emails and snacking, and I didn't know we're on. I think it's because my audio wasn't working. Can you talk to me? I can't hear it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Hey, everybody. It's great to have you with us. And I literally didn't hear Justin. I think it might be some wire I had. I don't know. Maybe I pulled the wire out or something. But I can't hear what I normally hear. But that's okay. I can sort of hear Justin through the glass when I talk to him. And as long as my mic is working, unfortunately, that's the key function. Because if you couldn't hear me, it would just be looking at me yammer in silence, which that's no fun. It's great to have you here. I'm sorry, I didn't think I was daydreaming. I just didn't know it was the top of the hour. Great to have you here. You're probably saying, Ezra, what are you doing here on a Tuesday or Thursday? Those are normally the days for Sheila Gunn Reed and David Menzies. Well, I was trying to move around some scheduling, and I asked them to do some stuff, so I thought, well, I'll just do the show. I like to do it. And I got things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the spy who, there was that movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, The Spy Who Came In Out of the Cold. I want to talk about the spies who were spying on Rebel News. This is not a tinfoil hat conversation. This is not a speculative conversation. This is not paranoia. This is not daydreaming. This is not science fiction or fantasy. This is not fabulism. The U.S. Navy, one of the greatest forces for freedom in the world, I believe. It's a very large organization, $161 billion a year budget. That's a lot of money. So they have someone working for them named Rachel Goolsbee, and her specialty is cyber warfare. All right, I think that's a really good idea. Because in my mind, everything is electronic, everything is cyber. Even the use of the word is sort of goofy, because what isn't online these days? Your fridge is online, your car has various computers in it, let alone your phone and satellites and drones. So what isn't cyber? And you've got a big piece of hardware like a aircraft carrier. Obviously it's vulnerable to electronic attacks. And, it's not like the olden days where everything was mechanical or electrical. Now it's online. Now, I get it. You would think that the enemies of the U.S. Navy, Cyber Command, would be China, first and foremost. China has a sophisticated and large cyber warfare unit. We've talked about them before. Makes sense because it's asymmetrical. China is building its 4th aircraft carrier right now. The U.S. has more than 10, if I'm not mistaken. Plus, the U.S. is much better at using them, much more experienced. Of the 4 Chinese aircraft carriers, I think 2 are under construction. I think only 1 is operating. And they're not pros at it yet. So what do you do when America is qualitatively and quantitatively ahead of you? Well, you use cyber, you hack, you steal secrets, you befuddle the American systems online. So China has over proportioned their efforts in cyber. Makes sense. North Korea, same thing. North Korea couldn't build an aircraft carrier to save its life. But what if it could hack into America's systems? Iran, the same thing. Obviously Russia. Any warfare is going to have a cyber component. I get it. I support the U.S. Navy dominating the cyberspace. But can you please explain for me why the U.S. Navy would commission a defense contractor from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock to work up a cyber warfare, what's the phrase they use, cyber forensics report on Rebel News, the little company that I run based here in Toronto, reporters across Canada. We got Avi Yamini reporting for us in Melbourne. We don't actually have any American employees. We haven't in a few years. We love America. We just, these days we're focused on the lockdown a lot, so we talk about Canadian lockdowns. We talk about Australia a fair bit, but it's just our one guy down there, Avi. We're interested in the UK, we're interested in America, but in part because of the quarantines, we just don't travel as much. So, the whole world talked about Donald Trump, including us. The whole world will talk about America forever, no matter who the president is. So I ask again, why would the United States Navy hire an American defense contractor to do a workup on Rebel News? Can you help me think of that? I'm from Alberta originally. For those of you who know the map, you'll know Alberta is landlocked. It's got some lakes, it's got some rivers, but it's not a real naval power. If Alberta were ever to become independent, I don't even think it would have a navy. It's like Nebraska. There ain't no sea anywhere. It's for landlubbers. I have paddled a canoe. That's about the closest I've ever gotten to something naval in my life. Why is the U.S. Navy focused on Rebel News? Is that legal? I'm not an American citizen. Our company's not an American company. So maybe under military law, the U.S. Navy can do whatever the heck it wants to me. I don't know. Maybe they could even drone me. I don't know. They drone other people who are non-citizens. They even drone their own citizens sometimes. Why? That's a lot of questions that I would like to ask, but I think Americans should ask it of their own people. So I think America should ask its political civilian overseers of the armed forces. Because remember, in America, it's a very important concept that the military fights like hell, but it's overseen by civilians. The Secretary of Defense is not a general, it's a politician. The Commander-in-Chief is the President. There are various congressional and senatorial committees that oversee different aspects of the military. So while the military can play rough and violent, it answers to a peaceful, or at least a democratic, board, committee, boss, hierarchy, structure. If I was an American, I would be saying, why is the U.S. Navy diverting money away from fighting China to fighting Rebel News? I'd be asking, if you're spying on Rebel News, which seems pretty weird, because Rebel News is Canadian and we're not really involved in Navy matters. I do talk about the rising danger of the Chinese, they call it PLAN, People's Liberation Army Navy. That's the formal name of the Chinese naval, the PLA Navy, which if you spell it out, People's Liberation Army Navy. It's a weird name. That's the name of the Chinese Navy. You might recall that a few months ago I did a story on how Canada was bizarrely training Chinese troops in cold weather warfare on Canadian bases. So I'm very critical of China. I was critical of the Canadian military for training Chinese troops. Why are we training our enemy? That doesn't make sense. One of the things I also criticized was that Canada sent an official to the anniversary party for China's Navy, and I think in Qingdao, I think was this city. So if anything, I'm very critical of China's Navy and the PLA in general, and I'm supportive of the American Navy just because I think it's a force for freedom. So why would the U.S. Navy be spying on me? Justin, do you have a theory on that? I can't even hear you because my mic's obviously not working. What's the theory? Let me give you a couple of theories. And by the way, you're probably saying, Ezra, what are you talking about? Why don't we play the first minute of my video? I put this up on YouTube yesterday. I want to give you just a background. Let's just run a minute or so from that video, and then I'll come back and we'll get into this a bit. Let me know when you're ready to go. I think I caught you off guard with that. One of my theories is we're not the only one they're spying on. We're just the only one who caught it. They're spying on everyone, let's say. Justin says he's ready with the video. Here, take a look. The United States Department of Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces have both funded cyber intelligence operations against Rebel News. Now, we're a law-abiding civilian news media company. We're journalists, and yet 2 NATO militaries are spying on us, diverting money and manpower away from their real job. Stay with me, and I'll take you through the documents I have showing this spy mission against us. By the way, you can see those documents for yourself at stopspyingonus.com. You really should check it out if you have the time. It's incredible. This spy mission was led by this woman, Rebecca Goolsbee. She's worked for the United States Navy for 20 years. She's like the character M from the 007 movies, except M spies on her country's enemies, terrorists, secret agents. Goolsbee spies on law-abiding journalists in Canada. She works for the U.S. Navy, but she doesn't think China's rapidly growing fleet of ships is the problem. She says her job is to fight against enemy narratives. And I guess our little news website here in Canada is the enemy.
We're not interested in individuals at all. As a matter of fact, when you actually operationalize this stuff, usually it's highly anonymized because there are a lot of constraints on the military on what they can see. But we're not really interested in the individual so much as we are interested in understanding the information flow. Is there disinformation out there? Is there social hysteria out there? A lot of people think about this as trying to shut people up. But really, usually the problem is we need to put out more information. We need to outcompete the disinformation. But you need to know what the level of competition is in order to ramp up messaging and to improve the quality of messaging in order to out.
I said earlier it was Rachel Goolsbee. I reminded her name is Rebecca Goolsbee. Listen, that video is 20 minutes, so I don't want to play too much of it, but I was just introducing to you the U.S. Navy cyber spy boss who, just to give you a taste of who she was, so she commissioned, can we go to stopspyingonus.com? I want to show that website. She commissioned a defense contractor at the University of Arkansas that has some fancy name, Cosmos. They've given their little shop there that fancy name. Scroll down a bit. I want to show, can we show that document that has Cosmos right in it? A little bit lower down, I think. It's given like something collaboratorium, online something. They were giving themselves like a fancy name. Yeah, collaboratorium. I don't think that's a real word. For social media and online behavioral studies. Author, Dr. Nitin Agrawal and Billy Spann. So you can see here that this is their report that they generated, that they gave to the U.S. Navy. How did I get a copy of this report? Not from them, not from the Navy, but I did an access to information request to the University of Arkansas, and they gave this to me. You can read this whole thing for yourself. Yeah, look, they've got these fancy diagrams. Scroll down a bit. There's some funny stuff in this, actually. I go through it. They're trying to be fancy. They have listed on some of our websites. You know, we have lots of little microsites, right? Like fightthefines.com. So we have these little, they're not even websites. They're just URL forwarders. So you type in fightthefines.com. It doesn't open up a website. It just sends you to Rebel News that story. It would be like saying, it would be like if a newspaper gave every headline its own website and you just went to the headline. And that's what it's not a trick. It's just, frankly, it's how I remember all the different pages. So here we are. I remember 4 years ago, some guy in Edmonton named Dion Buse attacked our reporter Sheila Gunn-Reid. Now, how would I ever remember the website that's on other than we bought dionbuse.com? So it's really a way to remember some of our best stories. We give them their own names. So scroll down a little bit more. Oh, here's an example. I remember this one. You can find it right now. You can go to we'resorryindia.com. So it was a story about, you remember Justin Trudeau went to India and he dressed up like a fool. It was an 8-day trip and it was really a costume party, family vacation. Huge embarrassment, international incidents, diplomatic incidents. Trudeau actually brought a convicted terrorist with him who had tried to assassinate an Indian cabinet minister. Like, just shocking. It was so embarrassing, it greatly strained the relations between Canada and India. I've never been to India. I wouldn't mind. I'd love to go to Mumbai. I'd love to see the Taj Mahal. It's a very big country. I mean, Tara Fratta tells us India is like the whole world. There's everything there and its opposite. I'd like to go one day. And I got no beef with India, and I thought it was embarrassing that Canada's Prime Minister was such a buffoon. So I just made this little video called We're Sorry, India, where I just said, hey, India, please don't think badly of Canadians. We actually like you guys. Just don't think we're all idiots like Trudeau. That's it. Like, you can watch, to this day, you can go to we'resorryindia.com, and you can get this website. We have a little petition there for people to sign. And you can see this, so this is in their intelligence report. So they did a Google search. If you zoom in, you can see it right at the top there. It says we'resorryindia.com. You see that? So they really type it in, and what's the first thing that comes up? We're sorry, India -the rebel, right? And they have a picture of that on the right there. There it is. So the word the rebel is very clear everywhere. And then you see, we're sorry, India, Justin Trudeau is an embarrassment. Ezra Levant, rebel commander. That's my joke title I give myself. And then you scroll, so that's what our website looked like back then. We've changed the look a little bit since then. So move to the left a little bit. So you can see the word the rebel is everywhere. We're sorry, India, the rebel. Rebel, 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 rebel. Trudeau sparks outrage, rebel, Ezra Levant. Like, in no way are we deceiving or hiding. It's just exactly what it sounds like. I made a video saying we're sorry, India. That's it. Like, I can't even believe I've just talked about this for 5 minutes. This is in their spy document, you can see. So scroll, so they show you what it's like, and then look at this. Okay, I gotta read this. Searching for one of the 291 websites associated with the Google Analytics and AdSense IDs from we'resorryindia.com website. This, along with all others in this network, redirect back to the main Rebel Media source site. Okay, that's sort of true, but can you go to the part where they say, or maybe it's in another document. So they found 291, I call them vanity URLs, or like fightthefines.com, right? It's all these websites that I just remember because they say what they are. Like, we have a website called iwillopen.com. It's just a rebel page where people tell their stories about opening up in the lockdown. What are some other fun ones we talk about? Fight the Fines is obviously an important one. We have, I'm just going to pull Open Saskatchewan. Yeah, I'm just pulling one out of the air. Open Saskatchewan. So I don't know if you know this, but we're suing the Saskatchewan government, a charter challenge to their lockdown. And so, if I were to say, hey guys, check out the charter challenge for the lockdown in Saskatchewan, I could try and remember the URL. I'd never remember it. It would be like rebelnews.com/open_Saskatchewan.html. Like, there's no way I can remember it. But I remember it's called opensaskatchewan.com. So I can tweet that, or I can say that, and you can type opensaskatchewan.com. And you're forwarded exactly to that Rebel News page. The word rebel is all over it. The word rebel is on the screen right now as I'm saying it. I'm on TV, so Sheila in that story. So there's nothing deceptive about it. It's just descriptive. It's the opposite of deceptive. Open Saskatchewan, we're sorry India, fight the fines, I will open. We had some way back in the day when all these hamburger chains were saying we're not buying Canadian beef anymore. That really made us mad, so we had boycottanw.com, boycottearls.com. Those are restaurants. So, like, it's just a description for what we do. I'm spending so much time talking about this. My point is, these spies at the University of Arkansas said that they used the word deep fakes. Can you find that document? It's an email exchange between Rebecca Goolsby, the would-be spy master who thinks she's like Agent M in the 007. And these goofy guys at the University of Arkansas. Thank you. So this is a letter from Nitin Agarwal, he's the defense contractor, to Rebecca Goolsby, the would-be spy boss of the Navy. Rebecca, please see the report on the cyber forensic analysis of the Rebel Media website. Both Word and PDF versions are attached. Look at this. This is incredible. The analysis revealed a new cyber IO. That means information or influence operation. So an IO is what they call like a propaganda campaign. Like if China were to try and scare people about the Wuhan virus to get everyone to lock down, that's an IO. That's an influence operation. So this defense contractor, Nitin Agarwal, says, please see the report. The analysis revealed a new cyber influence operation tactic of deep fakes for websites at play. A collection of fake websites, at least 291, were deployed to amplify the narrative that Trudeau is not a friend of the Canadian Indian community in order to rally support for opposition candidate Jagmeet Singh. Is that true? Yeah, I'm a pretty right-wing guy. I'm a conservative. Jagmeet Singh is the leader of the New Democrat Party, the NDP. He's a socialist. Some people could even say he's a communist. I'll just stick with socialist. Was I trying to rally support for Jagmeet Singh? By the way, I rewatched that video 2 days ago. I don't mention Jagmeet Singh in it. It's not about Jagmeet Singh. I'm just making fun of Trudeau dressing up like an idiot, wearing costumes in his trip to a foreign country. But you see that 291 thing? So we looked at the actual report, and they said there were 291 websites, URLs that we found. Fight the Fines, Boycott Earls, I Will Open, Open Saskatchewan, 291 of them. I actually think there's more. I know there's more. These guys aren't very good spies. There's over 800, I'll tell you right now. And they're all just, they're just ways for me to remember our websites, mainly. So they found 291 of them. Okay. But look at how they've just told the head of Navy intelligence for cyber. There are these 291 are all designed to get Indo-Canadians to not vote for Trudeau. That's a lie. One of the 291 was just my fun video about Trudeau dressing up like a costume party. It didn't mention Jagmeet Singh at all. But this defense contractor, Nitin Agarwal, had to cook up a sexy story to get paid. How much did he get paid for this report? 100 grand? $250,000? I'm guessing the U.S. Navy annual budget 161 billion US. I'm guessing they don't mess around with $1,000 contracts. I'm guessing they don't get out of bed for less than 100 grand. So this guy at the University of Arkansas does a cyber forensic analysis of Rebel News. There's nothing. We're not an enemy. We're not a foreign entity. I mean, we're Canadian, although he erroneously says we're American. I like the U.S. Navy. I don't talk about them that often, but when I do, I'm on their side. I'm very much hostile to the People's Liberation Army Navy. So this guy builds, what, 100 grand, $1 million, whatever, to spy on Rebel News. And there's nothing. There's like, what can you say? So he makes it up. He says we have 200, you read it, put it back up there, just that cover letter, that email. He says we have 291 fake websites, at least 291, were deployed to amplify the narrative that Trudeau is not a friend of the Canadian Indian community in order to rally for opposition candidate Jagmeet Singh. He made that up. He just made that up. And Rebecca Goolsby says, great work, many thanks. She's so excited. And then Nitin Agarwal writes back and says, this is more like a coordinated deep fake. I don't think we have seen it, heard about this yet. You know what a deep fake is, right? It's where you have like this video hologram of like a celebrity or someone. You want to call up one of those, there's a lot of incredible deep fakes now with Tom Cruise. I don't know why everyone's using his image, but you basically almost do like a face transplant of like a celebrity onto you or someone. In fact, you can see a lot of people can download these apps. I see people downloading these face, what are they, do you know, like I won't download the apps because it's just all a huge data harvesting operation. Like, by the way, folks, if you download an app because you think it's really cool to alter your photos, read the terms of service. They get the rights to your photos. Instagram has the rights to your photos that you upload. So if you want a photograph of every single American, yeah. So this, give me the sound on this one. It's pretty funny.
Play some sports. I love it. More for the audio experience. As much as the momentum. Hey, listen up, sports and TikTok fans. If you like what you're seeing, just wait till what's coming next.
That was not Tom Cruise. It sure looked like him, didn't it? Sure sounded like him. Like, that is spooky technology that is going to be devastating, and because you can't even believe your own eyes anymore. That's a deep fake. That's what that is called. It's just what they call it. It's basically a video forgery that is very compelling. Like, I have to say, other than the fact that I know that's a deep fake, I don't think I would be able to detect. Would you, if you saw that, would you know? And because it's so real, and everyone feels like they really know what Tom Cruise looks like because we've all seen him in so many movies. That is terrifying how persuasive that is. That's a fake. How is a website that says, "We're sorry, India," and has the word rebel like 20 places on the page, how is that a fake? What are we faking? What are we pretending we are that we aren't? It really is the rebel. It really is me really calling Justin Trudeau an idiot and really saying to India, please don't think we're all idiots. What's the fake part there? What's the deep fake part? And deep fake is, the general meaning of it is a video forgery. And even if in some weird way you could say, yeah, that website is fake, there's nothing fake about it. There was one of them. How do you say you did 291 of them to promote Jagmeet Singh when he's never mentioned? Do you see what I'm saying? And I know I'm belaboring it. These defense contractors lied or made things up, or I don't believe they're so stupid to get it that wrong. I think they're doing it for the cash and to build up, oh my God, there's a lot of bad people out there. Uh-oh, we have to, you have to give us more budget to fight all these deep fakes out there. Oh yeah, these deep fakes trying to alter politics in our allies. Hey NATO, can you give us a $10 million contract to fight these deep fakes that are looking to destabilize the Canadian Prime Minister and put in Jagmeet Singh? You just made all that up just because you want money. And here's the thing, I would not have known about that. I would not have known that the U.S. Navy was contracting with defense contractors at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock to spy on rebel news in Canada. How would I have known? The money went from the Navy to the defense contractor. The report went from the defense contractor to the Navy. They never called me. No one told me. How did I find out about it? This is where it gets weird. Well, I mean, first the weirdness is why is the U.S. Navy spying on me? Are they spying in other ways on me? Human spies? Are they hacking me? Are they eavesdropping? A huge question is why? How on earth am I of interest to the U.S. Navy? Another question is it even legal for the U.S. Navy to spy on peaceful journalists in an allied country? Is that even legal? Is that even ethical? Is that even a proper use of the budget? A lot of questions there. But here's where I get. But the big one is, why did they choose me? Were they told to choose me? If so, by whom? I don't believe that Rebecca Goolsbee of U.S. Naval Intelligence suddenly decided one day, oh, I'm going to go after an obscure Canadian YouTube channel. I just don't believe that. This doesn't ring true to me. So who told her to do it? Was it an American who hates conservative websites and saw, oh, the Rebel News has some viewers down here, let's smear them? Or was it, and I think this is a possibility, the Canadian government, who hates us so bad, saying, look, we can't spy on a Canadian journalist. That looks really bad. Can you Americans do us the favor? Can you spy on this guy, and we'll spy on one of your guys, and let's just help each other out so that we can each say to our own governments, no, we're not spying on our own citizens. That's my theory, is that Canada actually asked the U.S. Navy to do this, so Canada had some plausible deniability. But here's the thing, that Nitin Agrawal of University of Arkansas, and I've written him a letter and I haven't heard back from him yet. I think he got greedy. I think he got paid, I don't know, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. I hope it wasn't $1 million. Got paid a lot of money, I presume, to do this garbage study about us. So many errors in it. I could name 5 errors that are just laughable. The biggest one being, we're not based in America. We don't even have any American staff. Their operations are in America. No, they're not. I'm here in Toronto. So Nitin Agrawal made his money off this U.S. Navy contract, but he managed to resell the same work to the Canadian Armed Forces. What? Yeah. He got paid twice for the same work. That's pretty cool. That's a cool gig if you can get it. So the Canadian Armed Forces, at least 2 different branches of the Canadian Armed Forces, paid the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, a foreign American defense contractor, to work up a hit piece on Rebel News, which just happens to be one of the leading critics of Justin Trudeau. That is shocking, but not surprising. I am a Canadian citizen. Our company is a Canadian company. Our staff are Canadians. We're all here. This is the same government that is banning us from the Federal Leaders Debate Commission, that is banning us from question period, that is threatening to censor us. This government has effectively declared war on us. This government speaks more harshly about Rebel News than it does about China. The other day there was a vote in Parliament, a symbolic vote. It had no effect. It didn't have any sanctions. It didn't call for a boycott of the Chinese Olympics. There was simply a symbolic vote in Parliament in Canada declaring the treatment of the Uyghur Muslim minority in the western province of Xinjiang, describing that as a genocide. And many legal authorities say it meets that test of a genocide. Other institutions around the world have called it a genocide. For heaven's sakes, Justin Trudeau said that Canada had committed genocide against Aboriginal people. So Trudeau seems pretty liberal with the use of that word. But Trudeau and his entire cabinet didn't even show up to vote, other than the coward Marc Garneau, who voted to abstain. So Marc Garneau abstained. The entire rest of the cabinet hid. The resolution passed because the opposition parties voted for it. But the cabinet hid like the cowards they are. So Justin Trudeau and his cabinet ministers will not say a harsh word about the People's Liberation Army, about Communist China. Like I say, they'll actually train Chinese troops at Canadian bases. But they will get their military to hire an American defense contractor to go after Rebel News. How is that legal? Is that legal? Is that outside the legal mandate of the Canadian Armed Forces? Who called for that? Who commanded that? Again, was that just something that some general came up with? You're a general. You're in charge of, fighting the war, preparing for war. In Canada, maybe you do some peacekeeping once in a while on some mission that Trudeau sends you on. Is studying rebel news something that is on your top 1,000 lists of things to do? Is that on your bucket list? Boy, if I really could do it over again as general, I would have spent more time studying rebel news. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Who ordered the Canadian Armed Forces to retain this same U.S. defense contractor to go after us that the U.S. Navy did? How did that happen? How much did they pay for it? Is that legal? What else are they doing? Like I say, I found out about this because it was published. The Canadian government published this report through the Royal Military College and Queen's University. They published the spy report. How else would I have known? No one called me. No one called me to check. No one called me to fact check. They sure should have. But they wouldn't. Why would they ever fact check me if they wanted to lie about me? Like that Nitin Agrawal said we had 291 pages that were deep fakes to promote Jagmeet Singh. I think he knows that's a lie, or at least is not true. Like, how can you just can't think that's true if you've looked at us for a second. So I think the reason they didn't fact check their spy document with us is because they know it's a lie. Why would you fact check something that you're lying about on purpose? You could write the truth if you wanted to. You chose not to. So can you go to stopspyingonus.com? I just want to show people what's on there. Because you're probably saying, Ezra, you're making this up. Ezra, this can't be true. Ezra, you're just leaving something out. Ezra. No, I've told you everything I know. So scroll down a bit. Just want to show you what we got. So, yeah, view the reports and email exchanges below. So you can see some of them are marked University of Arkansas Little Rock, that one there. Yeah, keep scrolling. Thanks for going through this. And keep going. I'm just showing what we have. Oh, this one here is the study that was published by Canada. So I think that's like about 22 pages if memory serves. So they claim to have studied, and then there's Cosmos. That is the original spy study for the U.S. Navy, the one that started the whole thing. And I'm guessing that's it, or is there any more emails? That's it. All right. So if you're skeptical about things, go see them for yourself. That's at stopspyingonus.com, which is one of those easy to remember domains. It's not fake. Like, you see, we're looking at the screen together right now. How many places can you see the word Rebel News? I see Rebel News right at the top. I see Rebel News at the bottom left of our TV screen. And that's Justin putting that on for the live stream. You can see, if you click on the video, you can see our logo on the actual video. Scroll right to the very bottom of this page, like ultra bottom, super down. Oh, by the way, yeah, so I don't know if you can see that. It might be a little small. It gives our formal legal name, Rebel News Network Limited, 2021, and then our address, about us and all that stuff, terms and conditions, privacy policy. Like, it couldn't be more clear. This is Rebel News. This is not a fake. I don't even know what a fake website is. Fake website would be someone else pretending to be Rebel News, or us pretending to be someone else. That's what fake means there. That's what a deep fake video is. I just don't get it. Oh, sorry, my point was, do you remember what the URL of that website is? URL means what's unique. What is URL stand? Unique something. URL meaning uniform resource locator. URL is a fancy way of saying domain name. So I don't remember the rebelnews.com / blah 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 .html for those documents. But if I say, Justin, go to stopspyingonus.com, he types that in. He doesn't remember that. He types that in and goes straight there. That's just a little trick we do. You know, it costs $10 to get a web domain, right? So every time we have something that we want to talk about, we could try and remember rebelnews.com/blah, blah, 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 or just buy a hashtag or buy a domain, stopspyingonus.com. Much, much easier. There's nothing fake about it. It immediately shows you what's there. Do you have any theories why we're being spied on, viewers? Do you have any theories? Do you think it does any damage to us? I think it does damage to them. I think that, there's that joke, military intelligence is a oxymoron. I never liked that because I know that, military intelligence has saved the world. Military intelligence in the Second World War saved the world. And military intelligence is likely saving the world all the time and we don't even know it. So I don't want to diminish or disparage those in the intelligence business, although there have been some spectacular failures like 9/11. But I always sort of bugged me when people would say jumbo shrimp, and that's funny, right? Jumbo shrimp. Well, which one is it? Military dictatorship. It always bugged me when people said that was an oxymoron. But boy, it seems to be the case here, doesn't it? That has to be and putting aside the typos, the spelling errors, the wording errors, the numbering errors, the formatting errors, like that just goes to sloppiness. You can still be smart and sloppy, though generally those don't go together. Or if you're smart and sloppy, you have someone who fixes it up for you. Yeah, Einstein looked a little messy, that hairstyle, but he was smart. Putting aside the sloppiness, I just don't think these spies know what the hell they're doing. They remind me, did you ever watch Johnny English? Give me 20 seconds of Johnny English trailer. Mr. Bean, maybe he's just a British taste. He's a funny, goofy British comedian. I've just forgotten his real name, but he goes by, one of his famous characters is Mr. Bean. And Mr. Bean, he makes his face so funny, and he often doesn't say a lot, and it's sort of slapsticky humor, and he's just he had a great career with Mr. Bean, and like the British comedy's a little bit different, isn't it? Rowan Atkinson is his name. Not everyone likes the British jokes, but he's so goofy and nerdy and a lovable bumbler fool that he had a bit of a career change of path. They've cast a series of comedies called Johnny English, where he's like 007. They're a parody of the James Bond series with the dumbest guy you'll find. Like James Bond was the coolest guy, the sexiest guy, the smartest guy, the bravest guy. It's fun to watch. Johnny English is the stupidest spy in the world. Just watch for 20 seconds.
You're looking particularly beautiful tonight.
You're looking particularly beautiful tonight.
Ching.
We have a problem.
Good.
The identities of our serving agents have been exposed.
The country is in a state of complete chaos. And the universe sends me you.
Sir!
Yes, all right, Buff, we're going on a mission, not a honeymoon.
Yes, of course, sir.
Destination?
South of France, sir.
Arm the missile.
They're just cyclists, sir.
They're French cyclists, Buff, and they're obstructing Her Majesty's Secret Service. She's the key to this case.
I'm not sure I've ever met a man quite like you.
Let me clear up the uncertainty for you. You haven't. Virtual reality.
It's completely immersive, and some people lose track of their actual surroundings.
I think we can pretty much guarantee that's not going to happen.
Tell me the agent you've got in the field is making some progress.
Target acquired. This is a job for the shoebox inflator.
Don't open it in the car!
Can you reach your door handle?
Not really, sir.
Magnetic boots.
Brilliant, sir.
No one must have the slightest clue we're here. Till we meet again.
That was sooner than I expected.
That was Johnny English Strikes Again. That was the sequel, not as funny as the first one, but you get my point. You can see he does a lot of physical humor. His Mr. Bean's very funny. Johnny English makes Nitin Agrawal. Nitin Agrawal makes Johnny English look like 007. That's what I meant to say. What do you think? I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that we are being spied on by the U.S. Navy. And I'm going to read some super chats because maybe you know what's going on. I don't. I've left phone numbers for that spy master, Rebecca Goolsbee. I've emailed her, haven't heard back. I did the same with Nitin Agrawal, the defense contractor, didn't hear back. I think it's pretty obvious they don't want to talk. They like working in the shadows, like Johnny English. Melissa and Marlene, have you seen the video with Geert Vandenbosch, the guy who used to head Gavi? What do you think about it? I have not, so I don't know what you mean, sorry. Mark Owens, 2121. Why is my military letting foreign countries interfere with election and spying on Canadians with my tax dollars? Well, that's the thing. I don't know if I have any standing in the United States to quarrel with their Navy being mean to me, because I think part of the job of the U.S. Navy is to be mean to foreigners, and I would disagree with my selection as an enemy of the U.S. Navy, but maybe they're allowed to do that. I don't know what the limits on them are. I mean, it's weird to me that they're spying on a news website. I think that feels like it could be a violation of their rules, but I'm not sure if I have any rights as against them. I don't know. I'm a foreign citizen to Americans. But I would think I would have some rights as a Canadian, right? Because I have, as a citizen, I have rights against my own government when they're spying on me, I think. Kyle McGregor, 10 bucks. Love the show. Was thinking of My Body, My Choice. Can Canadians set the amount of cycles used in their PCR test? That, you know what? It's so funny. My Body, My Choice. Pro-choice. Keep your rosaries off my ovaries. We hear a lot of that talk when it's about abortion. But now all of a sudden, the state has the right to poke you, prod you, inject you, sample from you, and do tests on you that are likely inaccurate anyways. Brackathor, $5. I've been laughed at for saying I watch alternative media. I watch Rebel News because I have no choice. Mainstream media said COVID jails were a hoax. Yeah, to this day. Can you find that? Go to CBC, type in Google, cbc.ca, quarantine hotels misinformation, and maybe put a plus in front of the word misinformation, so that'll emphasize that in the Boolean search. So there's a story from October of 2020 that says on the CBC that goes on at great length saying anyone who believes we're going to have COVID hotels in Canada. Yeah, thank you. PM, health officials warn Canadians against believing COVID-19 internment camps. Disinformation. Disinformation campaign falsely suggests Canadians will be forcibly sent to quarantine sites. So you can see the date on this, October 20, 2020. Hey guys, don't believe the lies. There's not going to be any forcible. Go down, see at the very bottom, is there any correction or clarification? Scroll down all the way down. They took, you know, you can see, yeah, no corrections. No corrections, clarification, or update. You can see the images, the people they have. They had Theresa Tam and Patty Haidu, who they say are the truth tellers, and they had a picture of Randy Hillier, the MPP in Ontario, who warned about these COVID jails, and they're mocking him as a fake news vendor. He was right. Lisa Bruce, $5. Ezra, thank you for creating Rebel News. Nobody works as hard and consistently for Canadians as you and your team. We owe you a lot. Thank you. Well, Lisa, that's very nice of you to say. And I will pass the credit on directly to our people who work so hard, including on the weekends, including lots of travel. And I feel like the job is rewarding, and I think most of our people on our team feel that way too. That it's morally rewarding, as opposed to just financially rewarding. Although today, I don't think it's a secret or private. I should tell you that today, at 10:30 a.m., we had a staff meeting where we went through our new health benefits plan, health and dental. And I know you're laughing and saying, why are you boring us with that, Ezra? Well, as I said to the team, I feel like it's a kind of milestone that we've achieved a certain level of success and establishment, and we're here to stay. And like a real company, we can get health and dental benefits and insurance benefits. And boy, there's a lot of benefits. I was joking with Justin before the show. There's even a dismemberment benefit. And you know, you don't want to read about things like that. You don't want to contemplate that. But we got it. You know, so I was very excited that our team now has health and dental, because that's a symbol of our success. And as the president of Rebel News, it feels good to me to be able to provide some help for our people. David Anderson, $5. Maybe they were looking for all the white supremacy content idiots say the rebel supports CPC Delinda S. Wexit. Well, that's the thing. I should tell you, having read all the reports that I've referred to, and you can see them all at stopspyingonus.com, I think they use the word right-wing or maybe even far-right, like once. But in their entire reports about us, and I read them carefully, they never allege anything racist or anti-Semitic or white supremacist. In fact, as I showed you, the one allegation they do make, which is really weird, is that I'm like a secret supporter of Jagmeet Singh. That 291 times I've set up a fake website to drive support from Trudeau to Jagmeet Singh, which doesn't sound like a very white supremacist thing to do, but it's just like it's so weird. Does anyone? I've never heard that. Like, where's that from? We really don't talk about Jagmeet Singh a lot because we don't think he's that relevant. You know, we published over 15,000 stories at Rebel News. I'd be surprised if 10 of them had Jagmeet Singh as the focus. Like, we mentioned him in passing, because that's all he is, a historical footnote. Imagine thinking that Rebel News is obsessed with getting Indo-Canadians to vote for Jagmeet Singh. That's what you saw. I showed you the email. That's what these U.S. defense contractors told the head of the Navy, Intelligence Cyber Department, or whatever her title is. And that's why I keep coming back to that phrase, military intelligence being an oxymoron. I don't want to smear everyone working for Navy intelligence. I'm sure there actually are a handful of people tracking these Chinese ships. But, okay, is that for sure? Or was that just based on what I said? Yeah, okay. I'm just getting notes here, appreciate it. You know what, and the reason Justin's giving me the notes is because for some reason my headset's not working today. Who knows, maybe that's a little bit of the U.S. Navy. We're not locked in for today on that, Justin. John M., $5. Do they think it's a deep fake because Trudeau's costume wearing, dancing, blackface, etc. is so preposterous it seems impossible to be real? I appreciate you trying to figure it out, but they were saying that our website is a deep fake. Our website always has our identification marks on it. I don't think we've ever made a website that didn't have the word Rebel News on it or in some way. It's just not true. In fact, people say like the word Rebel News is everywhere. If anything, we do it too much. Chief Executive, $10, thank you. John Yoga, $5, thanks. Hey Ezra, if and when these lockdowns end, I think we need to eliminate public health and emergency laws. What say you? Well, the thing is, if there's an emergency, we need an emergency law. The coronavirus is not an emergency today. Maybe it was an emergency for 2 weeks last year. when we were figuring it out, what's the spread. Remember they said 2 weeks to slow the curve, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 2 weeks to plank the curve. These were things that were said. They never said 2 weeks to eliminate the virus. That's impossible. They never said 2 weeks till everyone's better. They just wanted to slow down the rate of people entering hospitals so the hospitals were not overwhelmed. That was their whole thesis. And we found out within 2 weeks that the hospitals would not be, in fact, overwhelmed. Hospitals in Canada have never been overwhelmed. You might recall Donald Trump sent some ships, big Navy ships, down the USS Comfort and the USS Mercy, I think they're called, or something. I forget what they're called. The two hospital ships, sent one to LA, one to New York to act as overflow hospitals. They were never used. So we found out within 2 weeks it wasn't an emergency. We found out right away. But politicians and courts have allowed the emergencies to stand. So when you say eliminate public health and emergency laws, those emergency laws should be used in emergencies, but it's the politicians and the courts that have allowed them to be abused. Punk Zero, $10. Samsung admitted years ago themselves their TV can record audio and video in your own home and data and can be sent back to company through online cache. How far can a term and services go? Oh yeah, I mean, you've got to assume your phone's listening to you all the time. You know, I was just rewatching a little bit of Ex Machina last night. What's that, like the 5th time I've watched that movie? And the very first scene in that movie, Ex Machina, which you can get for free on Roku, is this worker who works for Blue Book, which is like the stand-in for Facebook, obviously. He's excited. He gets an email. He won the staff lottery. So you see him checking things and people. And the whole thing shows that his webcam's spying on him, his phone's spying on him, everything's spying on him while he's having this moment. And part of the story in Ex Machina, which is a science fiction movie, is that Blue Book, the Facebook of the movie, basically hacked every phone in the world to record you while you're talking. Why? To get absolutely perfect facial expressions of every mood, every word, every language. And they put that into their AI database to make their robots lifelike. That was one of the little nuggets in Ex Machina that the head of Blue Book said, yeah, we hacked every phone. He said the phone companies knew and they wouldn't tattle on us because they were doing it too. That's the line from the movie which rings so true. Doesn't that ring true to you, Justin? You've watched that movie now, right? That, how many times? Just once? All right, you got to catch up. Pacific Eagle, $10. Thank you. Fraser McBurney, $5. Yesterday at our rally in Hamilton, we had supporters from Niagara Falls and Toronto. Entertainment was supplied by Robin Benedict. Join us Saturday at 12 noon. Thanks, Fraser. Rick Martisius, $20. Quote, it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Samuel Adams. Well, I like how that quote ended, but the opposite works true. It doesn't take a majority of tyrants to undermine a society, just a minority that keeps setting brush fires. So I don't know where the majority of Canadians are during this pandemic. I suspect that freedom lovers are in the minority. But even if it were the other way around, it does not take a majority to undermine a society's freedom. Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock. I'm guessing that that's a fake. $7. Disgusted by the Conservative Party of Canada for being so useless throughout Wu Flu. When it comes to conserving individual rights and freedoms of Canadians, CPC is liberal light. I can't much disagree. I'm doing my show on this tonight behind the paywall. Therese Pollard, $5. Rebel reports too much truth. Keep it up. Yeah, maybe they just hate our content, the U.S. Navy. Although why? We're pro-U.S. Navy, and if word for word, the Navy we've criticized the most is the People's Liberation Army Navy, the Chinese Navy. Like, we are against the Chinese Navy. We talked about, how many times have we talked about Chinese aircraft carriers? Like at least 5, right? Like you have that B-roll ready. When I say give me some China, you probably know the names of the ships, the Liaoning, you probably know their stories. The first one was like bought, I think, from Ukraine or Russia, and they claimed it was going to be used as a casino, and for a while the Turks wouldn't let it. Like, it was just this whole drama of how the Chinese got their first aircraft carrier. They bought it. It's a great story, by the way, you should read it. Wayne Schuster, $20. Do you know that the Montreal police tear gas protesters at the Montreal protest last Saturday, March 18th, around 5 p.m.? I was there. It burns the eyes and gets into your lungs. Wayne, we are sending a team to Montreal this weekend. I'm very excited to tell you that. Carl, $20. Any truth, Dr. Richard Choi, the husband of Toronto's top doctor, has been arrested for fraud, extortion, money laundering? Carl, I'm glad you asked me, and I probably get asked that 5 times a day. The answer is no. And the website you cite, the Conservative Beaver, is a fake news site. And I don't like throwing that term around because the left does it to demonize conservatives. But in fact, it's like the Buffalo Chronicle. Remember that website? The Buffalo Chronicle was a website that in the last election claimed a bunch of claims about Justin Trudeau being inappropriate with students at West Point Grey School in Vancouver. It's truthy in that it rings true, but there was no factual basis for it. And my belief is that sites like the Buffalo Chronicle and the Conservative Beaver are left-wing sites designed to discredit conservatives. What I mean by that is there are real questions to ask about Justin Trudeau and his sexual misconduct. We know that. We know he has sexually assaulted Rose Knight in Creston, BC. So we know that Justin Trudeau has sexually assaulted women before. We know that he touches women inappropriately all the time, still does. You can see it, just Google it. We know that he fires women all the time who get up in his grill. He doesn't allow powerful women near him, just submissive women like Catherine McKenna who will basically do whatever he says. So it's so plausible that Justin Trudeau sexually exploited a minor, but there's no proof of it. So if the Buffalo Chronicle can get people saying that absurd thing, it discredits genuine questions about Trudeau's sexual harassment, right? Same thing with the Conservative Beaver. It is true that Dr. Choi, the husband of Eileen de Villa, takes money from the vaccine companies. That's true. That is a huge scandal. It's a huge conflict of interest. I don't know how Eileen de Villa is allowed to be in her position while her husband is basically being paid by it would be like a judge if the judge's husband was getting paid by one of the parties in court. That's outrageous. It's unacceptable. But what the Conservative Beaver is doing is trying to go too far and saying he was arrested for this. What does that do? That muddies the waters. Oh, that's a BS fake news. If you go that extra mile that's unproven, it's junk news. It discredits all the real questions. I got about 20 real questions I want to ask about Eileen de Villa and her husband and the real conflict of interest. But if the Conservative Beaver convinces me to go one step further into Crazy Town, then that discredits everything else I have to say. That's why you got to be careful. Melissa Marlene, $2, emailing you the video. Laugh out loud. Please watch it. All right. Chris Lynch, $2. Ezra Levant, the king of dad jokes. Laugh out loud. Cheers. I got some really dumb dad jokes. I'm trying to think. I told one the other day. Let me think of it. Ligia Klappa, $50. That's friendly. Thanks very much. They build up a case to shut your media down with the new hate legislation. That's it. You nailed it. You nailed it. That's exactly what they're doing. They want to build up this sediment of reports about Rebel News that imply we're doing all sorts of illegal or deeply unethical things on the internet, so they can just sweep us off the internet. Here's, I wrote a letter to a friend. Let me just read this to you. I said, it's very strange. I think they were trying to build a case that we are a foreign meddler in Canadian politics, that we are a disinformation source that uses deceptive practices, because then we could be swept off the internet using some national security rationale. And then I said, it's creepy. It's also pitiful they got so many facts wrong and they're so desperate to make their work look sexy and super important. And I said, but have they done, anyway, I go on and I ask other questions of what else they've done. So my point is, I think you're exactly right, Ligia. I think that they're trying to build up a case, even with lies, that we are somehow doing illegal things that we're not, obviously. Deep fakes. We've never done I don't even know how to do a deep fake. I mean, there's apps out there these days you can do it, but we don't do it. Bracketor, $5. My mom votes NDP. When she hears of righties getting censored, she's abhorred. If far right, she thinks, of course, as far right equal Ku Klux Klan. Consider suing. Far right is such a vague term, especially in North America. It's probably not actionable. But there's other things in these reports that may be. Fraser McBurney, $10. This Saturday from coast to coast and around the world, rallies will take place. Hamiltonians join us this Saturday, 12 noon, to show your disgust with the lockdowns. Please come and join us. All right, it's 1:05. We didn't show a lot of things, did we? But I want to tell you, I came up with an idea for the store the other day. I think it's sort of cool. What do you think of that? Rebel. But can you identify the B in Rebel? That's the Bitcoin B. And I actually think it fits. The Rebel, well, cryptocurrency is the rebel of the monetary world. And Bitcoin is its leading proponent, advocate, example, role model, discussion item. Market cap over $1 trillion, by the way. If that's a flash in the pan, some flash, some pan. So what do you think of that shirt? I like it because you can sort of tell that it's Rebel News, but that B is pretty clear that it's about the Bitcoin. Yeah, there's a few more examples. There's the hoodies. So there you go. That's on, and you just go to rebelnewsstore.com. Am I right on that? That's how you do it, yeah? So I like that. I might get that hoodie on the left there because it's still a little chilly in Toronto. So I could use a hoodie when I go out to walk the dog and letting people know that I'm for the crypto. It's 1:07. What a pleasure to be with you today. Do we have a dog video? We do. Let's close with a dog video, and then I'm going to get back to work. Cheers, everybody, and thanks for your super chats. Here's a dog video.